You're in Dallas?
Yeah, Frisco.
You're right down the street.
I'm right down the street.
Oh, you right? Yo, right. It's crazy how many people move
a
here
lot
once
of
they
guys
retire.
A
Yeah,
lot of
it's
dudes.
dope.
You're not from here though. You just liked it?
A little bit. I'm from Florida originally, and then my junior year in high school, we moved to Arlington.
What part of Florida?
Lakeland, Florida, it's like between Tampa and Orlando.
Y'all Tampa people different, man.
Yeah, it's all Florida people are.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different culture.
Yeah.
You know, it's a difference between like I loved football, but they love football. Like it's
so it's so different. That 7-on-7s they were doing in Champa, I was watching some of the like live feeds on it. I was like, bro,
It's life.
It's real.
I'd be wanting to
Ball
fight
is life.
somebody. I couldn't do
It's
it.
like basketball
Yeah,
where I'm from. Like everyone's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah,
wants to be a
Chicago.
hooper.
Die for this.
Indiana the same way though. Like with
Yeah.
basketball, they
Yeah.
take basketball real serious.
Nobody respected you playing football in Chicago. It's just like
Yeah.
I said we do the same thing we did last
Like,
time. Just
whatever.
keep talking.
Yep.
We'll do those two after. Let's just keep rolling.
I feel like outskirts of Chicago is like other sports. So
yeah, it's like the suburban
baseball,
areas,
you got the
wrestling,
wrestling, yeah.
that type of stuff.
Wrestling's big where? Chicago?
Yeah, Illinois, state of Illinois.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Because you guys are right close to Iowa, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you touch-
wrestling's a Midwest sport. It's
Yeah, we didn't really have. It's surprising we didn't have really that. You Florida, then what part of Texas?
Arlington.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're super close.
Yeah.
So football was? I mean, you played in like when we first moved. I've only been in Dallas for 2 years. When we stopped in like Texas football, and I forget who it was. Oh, one of our partners in our business, Alex, has a cousin who plays in high school out here. I went to a game. I thought we were at the Cowboy Stadium when I first showed
That
up.
was ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a
the
different
amount of
level
money
for
they
sure.
spend on high school football is nuts.
It's like that in Chicago or no?
Oh no, we practice in the gymnasium.
It's
like
practice
it's,
indoors?
yeah, it's like 100 schools share the same field, so scheduling was crazy.
Yeah.
It's different. Like
Yeah.
Imagine.
You want to kick off?
yeah, man, we can kick it off. You ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
Solid.
You good? All right. Anybody else have anything before we go? Everything's checked. What is that? Oh. Cool. You need a water or anything before we get going?
I'm good.
Cool. Yep.
This camera's getting my whole body in.
It's. Oh, go ahead. Joe.
It is? Okay.
Or not your shoes though? Did you want your shoes?
No, I don't mind.
All right.
You just want to know how to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it.
Not for Hire, episode 3. We got a special guest today. We got my man Justin Forsett, 9-year NFL veteran,
Yes, sir.
businessman, husband,
Yep.
father.
Yep.
What's up, man? What's the journey been like?
It's been great, man. One, appreciate you having me on. Journey's been crazy, been incredible. Had a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but still standing. So I'm blessed.
Man, we talk about the journey, and we talk about perseverance, and I like talking about a guy like you. You were, I don't know much about your early childhood and your background from that standpoint, but I know you from the league standpoint, and I know you were a 7-round pick,
Yeah.
damn near Mr. Irrelevant, and carved out a 9-year NFL career, Pro Bowl, all types of accomplishments. How'd you do it, man? What was the one thing that pushed you forward?
Man, I would say my just relentless mindset. So I knew that it was going to be tough for me to stay around, like just based on stature and some of the metrics that they use in order to, qualify, what an NFL running back looks like and how productive he can be. But I was just determined not to allow those things to define me. Like I was making sure that every point I was learning and growing, every adversity I was taking in, I was embracing it and trying to find ways where I could make myself better because I didn't want to be placed in a box.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I placed myself in a box or allowed an NFL coach or a team to place me in a box, then I was kind of screwed over. So I always felt like boxes were things, not people. So I was going to do my best to break out of any type of limitations and always trying to better myself, improve myself, my skill set. So anytime I was fired or cut, I always took something from that point and just added it to my game.
Man, that determination is beautiful. We talked about this on your podcast about the transition and how tough it can be. How'd you make that leap? How'd you make that transition? I know how you did a little bit of it because I admired you from afar.
Yeah.
How'd you make that transition from football to entrepreneurship?
The transition for me was, I would say, a little bit easier probably than the norm because I started transition when I was playing.
Yeah.
Started this company, Hustle Clean, when my 3rd year in the NFL. So I had the idea, the concept then, and I was just starting working and growing it over the course of time. And it started from a place where, one, I was fired early. Like my first 3 years, I was fired twice. So I was cut my first season and went to Indy for 4 months and was thinking like, okay, I'm gonna be a coach forever. And then I got cut after 4 months and then went back to Seattle after the team I was drafted by and finished up my contract there. And I was just like, man, what is next? Like, there's not loyalty here.
Yeah.
And I thought about, at that time, there was a Sports Illustrated article that came out. It's widely known now, like 80% of NFL players are bankrupt, divorced, depressed. 2 years after they retired, I was like, okay, I don't want that. So I knew I had a degree from Cal, went to Berkeley. I knew some of my strengths. One, I worked extremely hard. I had great work ethic. I knew I was a problem solver. I had the ability to make people better around me, and I was a great storyteller. So out of all those things, I just felt like it lended me to going into entrepreneurship because I wanted to create my own path and be able to only tell my own stories and inspire and encourage people. My parents were entrepreneurs, so that's what I chose.
Man, you talked about, we all have that moment where we realize that the NFL isn't forever. I mean, the acronym, we say not for long.
Sure.
It's a very short moment in your life. My moment was my third year in the league. It's that year where they make a decision on you, where they're going to re-sign you or not. Yeah. I ended up getting hurt the first game of the year. I'm having a baby. I found out the day I'm going on IR that my wife's pregnant with our first child. Oh. So now I have an added layer of stress, like, because it was one of the best moments of my life, but it was also one of those moments like, okay, I got to make this thing work out. Mm-hmm. Going into the offseason, heading to my fourth year, they bring in a guy to replace me. They bring a guy to replace me. So all OTAs, I'm running with the second group, and I'm like, oh man, I blew it, for things out of my control, but that's how I felt about it. So during that entire year, I worked my ass off, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I have to figure out something outside of football. So that's when I started to prepare myself, and I found out about a guy named Justin Forsett. For real, I started to read a little bit. I saw you on Shark Tank, and I was like, man, I need to do more. Yep. I was putting too many eggs in one basket. I was focusing too much on football, and I thought I didn't have enough time to do other things, but then I saw what you were doing. You inspired me, so give my man a clap.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad my failure on Shark Tank could inspire me to go on and do better things, man. You just never know who's watching you, man. That's what I've learned over the course of my life. And I mean, I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and was like, hey, man, like, I love what you're doing. I've been following you from afar. And it really, it's inspiring, encouraging me to keep going, keep pushing, like, even through tough times, because you just never know whose life you're affected. So I appreciate it. I'm humbled, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I ask, so I know from our relationship, you've kind of always had the entrepreneurship, like the typical, like, selling candy as a kid type entrepreneurship background. Were you always wired that way? Do you feel like it's something that you walked into the older you got, the more that you developed those skills? Or from, like, time as a young age, do you feel like you always had that?
Well, I'm truly one of those guys that believes that exposure leads to expansion. So I was exposed to entrepreneurship early on, and just seeing my mom and dad hustle. We had a barbecue restaurant growing up in Florida, and just like that ownership mindset and being able to create jobs for my community. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. I felt like I was always, being in sports, you always being told what to do, right? Yeah. Told where to go, how to act. And I want to be in a position where I created a space of just like people can create their own. They can be authentically themselves, and be an example to others and create change. So entrepreneurship was kind of like, that was something that was like, it was in me. It's
crazy because statistically, second generation entrepreneurs typically don't do well in the marketplace. Like when they pull kids of parents who had successful companies or were in entrepreneurship for a long time, typically second generation doesn't do well. I'm curious of how maybe your NFL time, and you talked about bouncing around and some of that like hardship, gave you some sustainability or maybe some of that perseverance side, because I really do think the difference between like first generation, second generation entrepreneurs sometimes is the ability to like stay in the moment and really keep working, because I think a lot of people give up really quickly in the process. Sure. How did the NFL, have you found that it correlated over to business? What stuff do you pull from your time with teams and whatever else when it comes to like Hustle Clean or the other ventures you have? For sure. There's a lot, right? First, I would like to address like numbers and stats. I acknowledge them, but I tend to also ignore them. That's that mind though, right? So I always, from a young age, it was in me, like I was always going to be the exception, not the rule. So
as NFL,
But is that parents, or is that just I'm out the gate like that? You just had a strong mind.
Just
as a
me.
kid?
That's
Wiring.
me. So
Yeah.
when the teacher would come in, 7th grade, I remember I was in Miss McKay's math class.
Yep.
Come in and say,
Shout out
listen, guys. Yeah, shout out Miss McKay. Listen, guys. I know a lot of you guys, you raise your hand, you want to be professional athletes. They brought somebody in to talk to us. You guys want to be professional athletes. Less than 1% of you are going to make it. Everybody raise your hand. Like, you probably not going to make it, right? And I'm looking around. I was like, well, I appreciate that information, but I'm the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to be the one to make it. So even as entrepreneurs, like, 80%, right out of the gate, the first year, they don't make it out,
Yeah.
right? We're going over, 10 plus years into this thing now, and we're still here because it's just that mindset of just, I'm going to keep fighting until I figure it out, right? Until I get an opportunity to make a big break. Like, failure is not an option. And even when I fail, I'm growing for it. Like, I'm not going to lose. Like, what I want to set out to do, Lord willing, I'm going to be able to do as long as I'm here and healthy. So that is one thing. And then the second thing I would say is that mental fortitude that I was talking about earlier, that comes from sports too. Right? Yeah. Just the rejection. Like, I was fired 6 times throughout my career. I was always told I was too small, too short, not fast enough to be able to make it. Yeah. I was never like that, the biggest guy on my team by any stretch of the imagination. So facing all that hardship and difficulty in order to make it to the NFL, that built up almost a callous or endurance inside of me that just, like, I don't know how to stop.
I love that word callous, because I really do feel like that's entrepreneurship. It's like you callous so heavy all the things that affect normal people. Like, you can't be affected by the same things, because it is an emotional
Very
sport.
Emotional.
Yeah, man. You run a company that primarily feels like it's D2C, like a lot of internet stuff. Obviously you're in retailers, you're Target, Kohl's, all these places. Where did you start learning about because obviously speaking from experience, I know you got to find sourcers and you got to figure out how you're going to get the product made and who's going to manufacture it, who's going to co-pack it, how are you going to get the advertising out, how are you going to grow how did you start the process of figuring that out?
Oh man, reading, studying, because when I started, remember, I'm in the NFL, so I got a pretty,
you got access.
Time,
We talk about it all the time. It's like when you're in the NFL, people will respond to your email.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But also, I didn't have a lot of time, I thought, right? Now, being a full-time entrepreneur, I know that I had a lot of time playing in the NFL. Yeah. But at the time, football was almost all-consuming, so I had this side hustle. So I had to, on my off time, it was just about Googling and getting connected with the right people. So the greatest resource we have is relationships. So making sure that if I was in a CPG space, I made sure that I had advisors and people that understood consumer packaged goods. Yeah. I was going to start with Amazon, started my business. I was in Seattle with the Seattle Seahawks. So Amazon was right there. There's a lot of people connected within that space. So that's what we started. That was the platform we started with. So it was just constantly just being hungry and thirsty for knowledge and seeking it out myself. I was being very proactive. Even to this day, I feel like I have to keep learning. Like, I read a book every month. Like, I'm just staying sharp, or whether it's about, running a business, organizational health, whether it's about direct to consumer. I'm just consuming content that's going to allow me to just be sharper in those areas. But it's that fight to just be better and to accomplish my goal.
Yeah, I respect that a lot.
You're dropping a lot of gems right now, man, for real. For sure. And we talk about that mental fortitude. What was that one thing that drove you, that was that chip on your shoulder that keeps you going, even that why right now? What makes you get up every single morning and not give up? Because it's hard. It's hard playing in the NFL. It's even harder being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, man. It's hard to spot just one thing, because I feel like there's so many. I mean, we've been at this for, like I said, 7+ years now. To think about like one thing that allows me to keep going. One is my family and the people that took a chance on us. Like, there's investors in this company that are friends, that are family, people that I love that say, hey, Justin, like, we count on you. Like, this, we're putting money into you, not necessarily the business. So every morning that I wake up, I carry that. I say, man, this is not just for me. When I'm tired, when I feel like giving up, like, I'm thinking about Jonathan, I'm thinking about Steve, I'm thinking about, Prince. I'm thinking about all these people that are counting on me to make this a success. And then also I think about the impact and then my purpose. I talked about it earlier before we're getting on. is that I feel like I'm called, and my purpose in life is to inspire and encourage. Like my cup gets full as a human when I'm able to help somebody else reach their dreams and goals and aspiration in life. Like more than scoring a touchdown, more than me making a Pro Bowl, I feel like I'm living inside of my purpose when I help you get to your goal.
Man, that's deep.
Yeah.
And that's an attribute that I see with most successful entrepreneurs. It's not about them. Every single one I've met that's been successful has always been about the people around them. It's always been about the greater good. And money was probably the last thing they talked about. Of course, you need to make money to sustain and have a business that thrives, but the base of it is about those around you. So
yeah, you said something right there that I think is important for people, even maybe from like my side of the community, to understand when it comes like entrepreneurs and like the advertising space, is we're a community that is constantly like in advertising and marketing agencies, whatever that looks like, whatever type of business you're in. You have to hire people. Like it just is part of it. Human capital is capital when it comes to business. Like you have to be able to invest in people. And that dynamic you just talked about, I see crush a lot of entrepreneurs where they're constantly pouring out their cup to other people and they don't know how to refill it or they don't know how to recharge. What was that process for you, like figuring out how to guard maybe your cup and know when to pour it out, when to refill it, like that process? Because we talked about last week, for context, you first get in the league, even I'm assuming no matter what round it is, like people are calling you, people are hitting you up, all that stuff starts happening. How did you learn to protect your energy so that you could give it out to other people? Because if everything's always gone from you, you can't give to nobody else.
Yeah, for sure. It was something that I have to, like most entrepreneurs, I'm sure, like you had to learn through fire, like by making mistakes and, realizing that you had to protect your peace. Like, and if you're not healthy, then you can't help anyone else. So in the NFL, we talk about your best ability is availability. And it's here, same thing as an entrepreneur, and I have a self-care company, and I have to lead that way because like I don't want any of my workers or any of my partners or my teammates with Hustle Clean to like just be going like this rat race, like, and never pouring into themselves. It's not okay for you to be working on Hustle Clean and you missing your kids' game. Like that's not something that we personally stand. Now some companies, that's fine to do because, but that's something that we value. Like we want you to be holistically whole, like and complete. Like we talk about the holistic hustle inside of our company. So like we want to make sure that we're pouring into ourselves, investing into our self-care. And for me, it was early on, it was like, man, it's about other people. And I felt like I couldn't afford, or I felt guilty for taking time for myself. And it got to a point where it was just like I was on E, and then it was like I had to.
You're hitting such an important thing though, because I think most people, that payroll number starts growing a little bit month over month. You got your rent start hitting. You got these invoices you got to pay. It's very easy to get into the mindset of like, I just can't stop ever. What's your thing? Like, what do you do when you stop? Like, do you golf? What are the things that you do to kind of help recharge your battery?
So a couple things. One, faith-driven man. So
love it.
My faith, prayer, meditation, that's huge for me. Basketball.
Okay.
Like if football wasn't like my game, I felt like I could be Steph Curry right now.
Oh, you feel that way for real?
That's funny. You feel the same.
Yeah, I do feel the same. I do feel the same.
I feel like I could be in the NBA and people talking about me like breaking the 3-point record. So that, and then my kids and my wife, like spending time with them is like, that's where I get my cup, get that refill like I need on a daily basis. I coach my kids in flag football. So even now, it was something I picked up last year, and I just realized like, how much of like just self-care that was for me and therapeutic it was for me, because while I'm out there, like that was one of the few points that I had where I wasn't thinking about business. It was like, okay, I got these kids that are counting on me to kind of give them just the basic fundamentals of what football is. And I have this other coach on the other side that is not only trying to beat my kids, but he's trying to beat me. Yeah. So
how intense is Coach Forsett?
I'm not into.
You're chill.
I'm chill, but internally, like I'm over here. I'm boiling up on the inside if there's some things that are going our way. But just because I'm super competitive, so that's why I play basketball in the morning before. I start the day. It's like I still have those competitive juices.
When we talk about refilling and recharging, I'm in the midst of that storm right now of just extreme growth. and figuring things out in the midst
Yeah.
of it. Like, and that's a tough thing to do.
Yep.
You know, what was that point in Hustle Clean? I remember with Shower Pill, but
Yeah,
from
for
Shower
sure,
Pill to Hustle Clean, what was that point where you felt like it was just really taking off and things were moving a little bit faster than you anticipated?
Oh man, I would say during the pandemic, we had great growth during that time, as you know, hygiene and personal care, self-care was as a priority for a lot of people. And during that same year, we had did the transition from Shower Pill to Hustle Clean, from a product to a brand. And then also we're going into more distribution doors. Like we went from like, let's say 2,000 doors to 6,000 doors, right? And that growth was just crazy. And then you got a brand change, and then you got a pandemic, and you got raising capital all in like 1 year. And it was just like grind. And like, I think I'm being focused now and hyper-focused now on not believing the lie that I believed as an NFL player. Because an NFL player that says, man, the only thing that you can do is play football, and if anything else is a distraction. Mm-hmm. So now I cannot believe the lie as an entrepreneur. Only thing that I can do is build a business. Anything else is a distraction, because that's a lie. Like, it's a lie that we tell ourselves as entrepreneurs to make ourselves feel better, because we feel like the next man, we got to keep up with the Joneses. We got to keep up. But my version of winning could be different than your version of winning. Yes. So I got to realize what I value most. I don't value, for me, you know, I want to make money. I run a for-profit business, but purpose is just as important as profit to me. Yeah. So I got to live that way, right? So me being, you know, in Forbes or having these LinkedIn articles about me and the brand, it does nothing for me if my wife's saying, like, you've been a trash husband right now.
Facts.
My kids are, it's like, man, you're not present. So it's what I value, and I try to make sure that I'm prioritizing time with them. I don't believe in balance. I don't believe that there's time that I can split and say, this is for my wife and kids, and this is for my, you know, work. I think that if you want to be great at anything, there's a season in your life that you have to be obsessive. Yeah. A healthy obsessive, right? Yeah. So it doesn't mean like, so throughout, if I carve out my day, it means like I wake up early in the morning, 4:35 a.m. I'm getting my workout, I'm getting my me time, self-care in, and I'm starting work. And then that means when I'm whenever that is 5:30, there's a time where I'm going out with the kids and the family. I'm having dinner. We're doing bath time. Having a movie night. I'm all in at that time, right? Those moments that I have with them. I'm doing date night with the wife. I'm all in, and I'm the same effort and energy that I have for being an entrepreneur is more so, or more so with my kids. Like those areas don't get lacked, but I have to prioritize myself in those aspects throughout the day.
Man, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm super interested. I want to take a step back because it's obvious to me you're very introspective, like even from the way that you're talking about what matters to you, what's important to you. And like I have a lot of conversation with even our people and our internal teams about the idea of understanding what your goal marker is or what makes you fulfilled or happy. And it seems like you're really in touch with that. I'm curious of who are some of the leaders maybe in some of the locker rooms you were in, maybe with some of the coaches, maybe outside of the NFL, where you gleaned some of that from. Maybe you pulled some leadership styles from certain people. Maybe you saw, like, who are people you looked up through in your journey or process that kind of helped pave the way for you?
No, great question. There's a few that come to mind. One, Tony Dungy.
Okay. Fantastic. His books are great. Love
it.
Yeah.
Amazing man. And, you know, I've had a lot of I would say Bill Belichick style type coaching before in the past, where it's like, it's a different style, different approach. Like, both are successful, but you can still, either way, it's just up to you. You can still win in either way. And it's not a one size fits all.
Sure.
And so Tony Dungy really showed me that there's a way I can lead with integrity and character, and I can be me. And thinking of me, like, there wasn't one way. Like, so I don't have to
compromise yourself.
Yeah. Like, I'm not gonna do something that's not me. Like, in order for somebody to get something done, I'm not gonna cuss you out. Like, I don't have to do that.
I love that. Yeah.
Like, you know, so he was one. I would say Matt Hasselbeck, because he was the first guy, like, leader in the NFL that I saw from a player standpoint that really was authentically himself. He had values, had character and standard. That he set me on the team, and we followed, and he was able to have a successful career. And like he was one that brought me in, just kind of under his wing as a young player. So those are number. John Harbaugh, the whole Ravens organization, just like what culture looks like. I would say Ravens and Seahawks both showed me what organizational health and culture looks like, and how you come in and kind of. One, I was on a terrible team in Seattle my first couple of years, and then Pete Carroll comes in and changes the whole dynamic of the culture. So him walking in and seeing those things that he harped on, the consistency that he had there was important. And then with like the Baltimore Ravens organization, I saw what a standard of excellency looks like, and then how do you keep that? How do you maintain that? And that, how do you get people to buy into a culture? So. Those are some of them.
I love that. There's you keep saying the word culture, and it's a big impact for me personally, because I feel like there's so much there. There's an old saying that if it's healthy, the fruit will grow. Yeah. What type of fruits, I guess, do you look for in your business with your people? Like, because to me, you're painting this picture of how you really are as a leader and kind of what you've pulled from people. What does with Hustle Clean? What stuff do you look for inside of employees, inside of people, where now you're having to be the guy that says, okay, I'm going to hire some people, I'm going to build a team. Of course you're giving to them, but what fruits are you looking for them to give to the company, the brand, whatever else?
Another great question. I would say one, not just problem spotters, but problem solvers.
Preach, yeah.
So it's okay if you say, okay, I spot a problem here and I see an issue here. Okay, but what are you going to do about it?
See a need, fill a need.
Yeah,
come on.
So that is one. So kind of this self-starter person. I say we have this thing where we say, man, be challenged and feel free to challenge us.
Yeah.
Like, so challenge and be challenged. And so
I
don't want, like, just because me and my business partner, we lead the organization, like, we can learn and grow too. So if you see that there's a better way, you feel like there's a better way for us to do something, express yourself.
Yeah, 360-degree leadership.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're open to that. Like, so I would say that. And then we have, three of our pillars are being real, brave, and relentless. So when I say I want you to be brave, it's just like not shrinking in the moments of adversity. And then when I say real, I just want you to be you. I don't want you to show up any other way. Like, if you feel comfortable coming to a meeting in a hoodie and pajama bottoms, come in that way, right?
Yep.
And then being relentless is just like, if we have a goal or something that we set within the company, I want you to fight tooth and nail, like your life depends on it every day. That, like, I want you to be obsessive about that, right?
Yeah.
So, because that's how we're gonna be.
Yeah.
No, man, that's I'm listening, man. I feel like I'm not hosting you right now. You hosting me. No, but for real, man, that leadership, the different dynamics. You talk about the different organizations you've been with, and there's different styles. There's different ways to win, and that is true. But I think the most effective way is the way that you're leading right now. Because I've been a part of that, like Belichick style. Oh yeah. We didn't have time break. We won 2 games,
exactly.
And then, had the turnover with Andy Reid, who's an open door policy type guy. A guy that says, let your personality show, be you. But at the end of the day, we got a job to do. We know what the goal is, and we're going to attain that, and we're going to fight tooth and nail for it. And that's the way I try to lead, and I respect that.
Man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I love it. I think that you said faith is important to you earlier. We talk a lot about stewarding souls. Like you really are a steward of people's actual lives.
Sure.
So it's cool to see how serious you take that. I'm curious, what's the ultimate end game for Hustle Clean? Like, what are you building towards? Because you said earlier, everybody got different benchmarks. Your purpose is as important to you as profit, whatever else. Like, if in 10 years we all know Hustle Clean as this thing, what do we think that it is? What do you want us to think that it is?
Man, I think about this a lot. And at one point, I probably would have answered you and would have said early on in my career as an entrepreneur, it's like, I would love to see Hustle Clean in every household.
Yeah.
As an item, just as a tool to allow them to be successful throughout their day. But as I've matured and grown, I feel like I want Hustle Clean to be a platform in which we provide better hustlers or better individuals like that want to chase greatness. Like I want to be a platform that at the end of the day, 10 years from now, it's like, man, I use Hustle Clean, and I'm a member or a tribe of Hustle Clean, and the community that they've built allow me to reach my goals in life, and allow me to be a better man, a better woman, a better mom, dad. Like that's what I want at the core of just like I want to. Right now, I feel like we are like the what you call the antagonist to like hustle culture.
Yeah.
So I feel people are driving themselves into the ground, into depression. I see like even on the entrepreneur side, I see, you know, whether it's people divorce or all those things we talk about in football, like as you feel like identity issues, you know, financial stress, emotional stress, all those things. Like I feel like there's a better way for us to operate.
You're saying something, yeah.
You can be an amazing entrepreneur, but also be a healthy, beautiful human being. Like there's no way there's you don't have to subscribe to like, and I only use this because I love Gary Vee, right? And what he stands, what he's preaching.
Sure.
But I feel like there's a negative side to that we latch on to.
Yeah.
That will have you in somebody's hospital bed.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And not fulfilled, because you're gonna be on this never-ending quest to be filled by something that was never meant to fill you.
Yeah.
You know, because we've seen people in the sports realm, in the locker room, that have accomplished great things. Maybe gotten Super Bowls, got big contracts. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with locker rooms with multi-millionaires that are just like, I'm depleted. Like my family is stressed. My wife, my kids is all over the place. Like I want more out of life. There's got to be more, right? Having those conversations. I see it now on the business side, and people in general, as we have more information, more tools in our hands to accomplish more things and get more distracted from those things that are most valuable to us. Like we're going to end up with regret at the end of the day.
So let me say a statement that I say a lot, and you react to this statement, because I say this all the time. We say internally, sacrifice without purpose is torture. And I see a lot of people in the entrepreneur space sacrificing their weekends, their time with their family, their nights, their mornings, whatever else, but they're unaware of what their purpose is. It's attached to an outcome. It's not attached to process, attached to money, to some sort of material look, ego, whatever else, and they're torturing themselves because of it. And what I think is that we're missing the ability for people to really find out what their purpose is.
Yeah.
How do you feel like people can come to find that through business? And by the way, let me ask you another a caveat question. Do you think everyone should be entrepreneurs? Like, is there people who should just like, maybe they're good and have skills, but they're better off working as a number 2, a number 3, a number 4 in a startup versus being the Justin Forsett, instead of being the Jeff Allen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What camera? Which one is one at me?
Which one?
Let me look at this.
That one right there.
In front of it.
Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Like, I want to be that clear. That's like a PSA right now. Like,
tell them.
It is not for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like it's glamorized now because the barrier to entry is so low. Like, anybody can start a business. You got the LLC Twitter that'll tell you you need to have an LLC and grow and start this business. Yeah. But like, if you're not mentally, spiritually, physically fit and built for entrepreneurship on this side,
all three,
like, you're not gonna last.
Nope.
Like I tell people all the time, like, passion will get you started, but too much passion will not allow you to see the end of like whatever your goal is. Like you need passion to start, but too much passion will like end you. Right? So it is so complex than what you see on Shark Tank and what you see on LinkedIn, that I would say make sure you do all of your due diligence before getting into entrepreneurship, and realize all of the downsides. There's a great upside to it, but downsides, and be willing to take that on. So I would say just that, like, entrepreneurship.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. For the reasons that you say it's not for everybody is the reasons why I say everyone should try it. The reason being is it gives you appreciation for it. It puts you in the road that you should be in, because if you understand it, like it may not work for you. and you understand why it didn't work, then you know exactly what your purpose is.
How much are you willing to lose in order to figure that out?
I mean, only you know that. As the individual.
Like you're talking about something, right? Like you're talking about something important, which is like my partners, even in like ATD, or our marketing company, and we've year over year Inc. 5000, all that thing, right? Like we're both doing their own thing, independent entrepreneurs, but like going through that process exposed that like,
this is informative.
I see how you do this. I don't really want to do this. I'll support you. I'll be with you. I'll partner with you, but I don't know that I want to do this. And I think it is hard to know how to do that unless you try something, but you're going to lose a lot if you do.
Yeah.
Like if you do it right, you're going to lose a lot.
We talked about it on our podcast. It's like I truly believe that entrepreneurship is more dangerous than football.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Wait, can you break that down for me? Because I didn't play football, so help me understand that.
One is much more mentally taxing.
Okay.
And it will financially ruin you way quicker than football would.
Way riskier. Like
way riskier. Football is physically more riskier.
You said something earlier I thought was so smart. You said there's a low barrier to entry, which I see this all the time. There's literally 20,000 marketing companies.
Yeah.
Like everyone has a marketing agency. Yeah. It's the most ridiculous thing, right?
I probably
but it's because
to them
all you got to do is message somebody and say, I'll run your ads or I'll make you a video, and now all of a sudden you're a marketing agency. Yeah. In the NFL, you're talking about the biggest barrier of entry that you can get into. Like it has the biggest separator. What have you found to be the difference between those two things with just like maybe types of people you encounter or like those things? Because I find anybody I've encountered from the NFL, I'm like, oh, I get it. Like I can see how you live, and I'm like, I see why you were in there versus maybe in some other places. Does that make sense?
So the difference between what I see in entrepreneurship on the entrepreneur side, and opposed to what I see in the NFL.
Yeah. Talking the entry level or just in general?
Entry level, just
entry level. I would say one, there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah.
Most entrepreneurs are very optimistic, overly optimistic.
Yeah, we're gonna be a billionaire.
Like You got to have that.
Yeah, you got to.
Right, and you have to be crazy. For both, you have to be a little insane.
Yeah, you for sure do though.
Like insanity is a crucial part of like greatness, and I feel like on both as an entrepreneur and as an athlete, that's a commonality. Man, barrier of entry, I would say, so entrepreneur on the football side, you can really just you can work yourself into a really good position. Now you got to have some talent, right? You got to have like non-negotiable, right?
But once you get in the NFL, the talent's there.
Talent. Everybody, once you get in the NFL, everybody's basically you're good for the most part. It's really who's going to put in the time and effort to work, right? To be great, consistent over time.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship, you can work extremely hard.
Oh yeah.
And see nothing.
Yeah. At all.
Because busyness doesn't mean anything. Productivity.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean productivity. You're 100% right.
It doesn't mean anything. You have to be willing to work hard at the right things.
Yeah, I'm blasting this on my social media, but you're 100% right. It's like so many people think that working hard is the price tag, but it's not. It's just
table stakes.
It has to be that.
Like it's table stakes.
It's just it's what's required to even just start the process. Working hard in entrepreneurship doesn't guarantee you anything outside of like you get a chance to maybe do something. So if that's the case, what separates it then? What's the difference between it?
It drives me crazy. Just to touch on this point more.
Yeah, please.
That when I see entrepreneurs, whether it's on Instagram or on the social media channels, like team no sleep. I'm up. I'm at. It's 3 a.m. I'm up editing now. So no shade to anybody. Working in the editing.
They wake up, take a story, post, and go.
Go. It's like I'm out here grinding the wee hours of the night. Maybe you don't know how to time management. Like you don't have great time management skills. Yeah. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah, it's crazy. They think they're saying something, but it's like all that does is speak on the fact that you are in zero control of what you have going on right now. Yeah.
Exactly. So I just want to touch on it because I think that's important. Like, it's table stakes. Like, you have to work hard. Like I'm not saying when I talk about being, a holistic hustler and making sure that you're pouring into yourself. Yeah. Like you gotta put time in.
Yeah.
Like that's non-negotiable. But what you're putting your time to, that's the difference, right? So NFL, the difference is we talk about it's more entrepreneurship is more dangerous.
Yeah.
It's the internal battle. So football is detrimental because of what happens to the outside, to the external.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is more dangerous and more detrimental because what happens on the internal.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, I've never had so many heavy conversations.
Yeah.
Like I've never had just like these deep conversations with individuals on a consistent basis about like mission critical items, or like somebody has lost a loved one in their life and they come to me because you're like, you're the therapist, you're a leader of the organization. So you're constantly getting hit left and right with certain things. And then with the culture that we live in now, with every company is, within a year, they're already making $1 billion by social media standards. Like you're feeling like you're behind and having to try to catch up. You have to fight these internal conversations or these false narratives that we created in our mind. It's like, you're not enough, you're not doing enough. And you're one decision away from losing it all. Like these storylines that we created in our head that aren't even true. And that will lead us into depression and stress and, all these other negatives that will come with, internalizing negative thoughts. And
by the way, like oil pours from the head down, right? Like the number one cause of dysfunction in organizations is like a dysfunctional mind of a leader. Mm-hmm. And so like what and I'm landing the plane here. I love this conversation because I don't think enough people talk about the emotional taxation of this, because I do think it's insanely undervalued, the ability to like be in a healthy space while doing entrepreneurship. On the flip side, how do you keep your mind protected? How do you like stay in a place where you can be that person?
I'll go back to my faith.
Biggest thing, right?
That's where this. I stay low so I can go higher. So I humble myself. I take as much information as I can in from experts, from people that have done this thing before. I make sure that I'm listening to the people around me, my team, where I can get better. And like, I'm not prideful. Like I try not to be, right? There's some prideful areas in my life for sure, but I try to just be humble and just 10 toes down and just try to grow and be better each and every day. Just 1% better each and every day.
That's real, man. Stay humble and be intentional. And that's what you need to do. Be intentional, make good decisions. Not necessarily make 100 decisions in a day, but make sure those decisions you make are the right ones. And I think ultimately that's how you have success, and that's why you're having it.
Man, appreciate it, man. It's a grind.
What time are we at right now? 45. Cool. You want to wrap up from here? Do you have anything else you want to hit?
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I can. I feel like it's pretty good. This is my
awesome.
favorite conversation I've ever had.
Like, this is awesome. Like, I'm like,
because Chris will tell you, Chris is one of my partners in the business. All I do is talk about like what we're talking about right now. It's my favorite subject. Yeah. It really is.
Nice.
Yeah, man. But I appreciate. Let me ask you this as we wrap up. Your advice to people. Can I separate this into two questions? Mm-hmm. One, what's your advice for athletes that have ambitious dreams outside of football? While they're in the league, what should they be doing? And the second thing is, what about for just everyday business people that are out there right now, like starting their own D2C companies, trying to scale up products the way that you're scaling up products right now? How do you speak to those two different people, and what kind of advice do you give them?
To the athletes, I would say greatness grows best in the shadows. And I would say that what I mean by that is that we don't get our greatest gains in life on our climb and on our pursuit to the top. Yeah. We get our greatest gains in life on our, we get our greatest gains on our climb and pursuit, not when we're at the top of the mountain, right? Yep. So I say that embrace every moment of adversity. Yeah. Like embrace the struggle, embrace the fight as much as you can, take it and use it, not allow it to define you, but refine you and make you better. So like greatness is in the shadows. So embrace those dark moments, because there's a lot of dark moments where younger version of me could have gave up and never been here, right? So I say, we don't get our greatest gains at the top of the mountain. It's on our climb and our pursuit where we get those gains. And then for entrepreneurship, just keep it simple, man. I was talking to my team this morning, and it was just like our task meeting. It was just like, we got to keep it simple. And for us, if we keep it simple, then we are able to build things that are scalable, right? and excel at what you can control. I know most people tell you must control what you can control, but excel at those things that you can control, because those things will keep you until you get your breakthrough. So excel at your attitude, your effort, your preparation, your communication, those things that you can control in this uncontrollable world, right? Everything that's out of, we can't choose, not necessarily how many people can buy our products, and there's so much as an entrepreneur that's just out of our control. Excel at those things that you can.
That's such a good word. Man, well, hey, look, I appreciate you stopping by and chatting with us for a bit. It's been a
My
huge
pleasure.
blessing to me. I've taken notes on some of this
Man,
stuff.
I'm definitely taking a bunch of mental notes, man. You just gotta do the work, keep your heads down, stay faithful.
That's
It's gonna work out.
All right, man.
Man, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, hey, man, appreciate it.
Yeah, blessings, man.
Yeah.
That was awesome, Justin.
Yeah, man.
I really got lost in the conversation because I'm listening,
Yeah.
and then I'm not taking no cues. I'm like, man, this is good stuff. Boom, 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 boom.
That's what's up.
That's cool.